Tonight, you embark on a journey that begins with a structure so grand, so technically astonishing, and so unapologetically Roman that even modern engineers might raise an eyebrow. Before you settle in, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what you find here. I invite you to share in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always intriguing to see the diverse audience joining us from all corners of the globe. Now, dim the lights and perhaps turn on a fan to create a gentle background hum. Let's ease into tonight's captivating exploration of history. To grasp the essence of the Colosseum, you won't begin with architecture journals or engineering blueprints. Instead, you start with something more human, pettiness, which in Rome ranks just below marble as a natural resource. The Colosseum wasn't constructed out of love, civic pride, or a deep appreciation for the arts. Its creation stemmed from one emperor's desire to obliterate the memory of another. The tale unfolds with Nero, a figure who epitomizes a midlife crisis. He believed that Rome's greatest issue wasn't famine, corruption, or the occasional fire. It was the absence of a vast private lake for his extravagant palace. So he razed entire neighborhoods, displacing thousands, to create a luxurious water feature the size of a shopping mall parking lot. As you reflect on this narrative, consider the layers of ambition, power, and the human condition that shape our history. Imagine Vespasian stepping onto the scene, a man of practical solutions. His plan? To obliterate Nero's lake. He fills it in and constructs a grand 50,000-seat amphitheater right on top. This act is akin to wiping your predecessor's entire digital legacy and replacing it with a dazzling display of your own image. It's bold, it's brash, and it serves as Rome's grandest architectural statement of defiance. By selecting this very site, the former playground of Nero, Vespasian sends a clear message. Remember that extravagant tyrant who left Rome in ruins? Exactly. We choose to forget him. The masses adored Vespasian. Nothing mends the scars of political turmoil quite like free entertainment, complimentary feasts, and the thrilling spectacle of lions feasting on criminals. This formula still resonates today. The sheer scale of this project suggests that perhaps the emperor is trying to prove something. Picture hundreds of thousands of tons of stone, legions of engineers, laborers, quarrymen, and enslaved individuals, all united to create a monument that boldly declares, Rome is back. Construction kicks off around 70 CE. The site demands meticulous preparation, stabilization, leveling, draining, and packing. After all, it once was a lake, a fact the Romans approached with the casual confidence of a civilization that often bent nature to its will. Imagine a time when modern architects would spend 6 months analyzing soil conditions. In contrast, the Romans had a different approach. They simply declared, drain it and start stacking rocks. The result? The Colosseum became more than just a building. It transformed into a symbol of psychological warfare, crafted from limestone. It served as a political statement, a morale booster, a public distraction, and a display of power, all encapsulated within its grand elliptical shape. While other empires constructed temples to honor their gods, Rome built stadiums to appease its citizens and to mask its failures. This was not merely engineering, it was revenge sculpted in stone. Once Vespasian committed to creating the largest revenge project of the ancient world, Rome did what it always did. It exceeded expectations. The Colosseum was not merely designed to impress. Its purpose was to instill a sense of insecurity in other civilizations. Egypt had its pyramids, charming but lacking seat numbers. Greece boasted theaters, wonderful yet devoid of lion wrestling. Persia had its palaces, lovely, but could they host a naval battle and a mass execution in the same afternoon? The Romans constructed the Colosseum with the fervor of a civilization that awoke each day, choosing both violence and meticulous urban planning. The first step was straightforward: make it astonishingly vast. The Colosseum could accommodate around 50,000 spectators. In the ancient world, this was akin to building a mid-tier NBA arena and filling it with 50,000 people who had never encountered deodorant. Imagine a time when Rome didn't just build grand structures, they built them swiftly. Construction on the iconic Colosseum began in 70 CE, and by 80 CE, eager spectators were already filling the seats, perhaps spilling wine in their excitement. In stark contrast, today's construction projects often take years just to sort out permits for something as simple as a public restroom. Now picture the Colosseum, a colossal stone structure that resembles a grand wedding cake, but one meant for those with a flair for drama. It stands 4 stories tall, adorned with arches and columns in 3 distinct styles. The Romans couldn't settle on a single aesthetic, so they embraced them all, creating a masterpiece that feels like wearing every outfit in your wardrobe at once, while declaring it a fashion statement. Yet, the brilliance of the Colosseum goes beyond its beauty. Those arches are not mere decoration, they are marvels of engineering. They distribute weight, absorb pressure, and even resist earthquakes. Each arch works together, much like a team of colleagues who take turns pretending to be productive. Additionally, the Romans ingeniously incorporated vomitoria, massive corridors designed to allow tens of thousands of spectators to enter and exit in mere minutes. And no, despite the name, they are not rooms for vomiting. Take a moment to appreciate the ingenuity and artistry that went into this ancient wonder. It's a reminder of how creativity and practicality can intertwine to create something truly extraordinary. Imagine bustling passageways that overflow with crowds, efficient yet slightly unsettling. This vivid imagery serves as a perfect metaphor for the Roman Empire. The Colosseum transcends its role as a mere stadium. It is a bold declaration. Rome is affluent, Rome is influential, Rome is restless, and Rome wants you to be aware. Have you ever stood before the Colosseum and pondered, how does this magnificent structure endure while my apartment wall seems to crumble at a glance? The secret lies in Roman concrete. This ancient building material defies the ravages of time, weather, and even the most advanced structural engineering. Unlike our fragile modern cement, which cracks at the slightest disturbance, Roman concrete is a marvel. It is crafted from volcanic ash, lime, seawater, and perhaps a touch of imperial hubris. Over centuries, it undergoes a remarkable transformation, developing new crystals that bolster its strength as it ages. In contrast, humans tend to develop back pain and emotional turbulence. Today, scientists examine Roman concrete as if it holds the secret to eternal life. Modern engineers gather around samples of this ancient substance, probing it with delicate instruments and quietly asking, "How do you still stand?" And if that concrete could respond, it might say, "Because I wasn't mixed by underpaid contractors racing against the clock." Isn't it fascinating to think about the stories these materials could tell? Imagine the Romans harnessing volcanic ash from Podwoli near Naples. They believed that the secret to resilient architecture lay in the heart of a supervolcano. By mixing that ash with lime and pouring it into wooden molds, they crafted structures that could withstand earthquakes, fires, riots, and even the whims of tourists carving their initials into ancient stone. The foundation of the Colosseum, a massive concrete ring, sits 12 meters deep atop a drained lake bed left by Nero. Unlike today's construction, which often involves lengthy environmental assessments and numerous legal battles, the Romans simply asked, "Is it soggy?" If the answer was yes, they built anyway. What set their design apart wasn't just the materials, but their innovative method. They constructed the concrete core first, and then encased it in layers of travertine limestone blocks, all secured with iron clamps. These clamps functioned like metal stitches, uniting the entire structure into a cohesive, earthquake-resistant marvel. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. The Colosseum's concrete isn't a single solid mass. It's a meticulously layered system, with each level designed to have slightly varying densities and flexibilities. Imagine it as the world's first anti-earthquake cake, each layer contributing to its strength and resilience. When tremors occur, the building absorbs the shock, standing resilient rather than collapsing like many modern parking garages. 2,000 years later, the Colosseum remains, cracked and scarred, missing a few pieces yet defiantly alive. It ages like an immortal Roman grandmother, indestructible, unimpressed, and silently observing the structures around it. If Roman concrete serves as the muscle of the Colosseum, then the arches are its skeleton. Unlike your own skeleton, this one stands tall without creaking. The Romans didn't merely use arches, they mastered them. They constructed the entire building around the principle that curves are stronger than straight lines. A lesson that seems to have slipped from the minds of modern architects since the rise of glass skyscrapers. The Colosseum boasts 240 exterior arches, each one flawlessly shaped, perfectly spaced, and carrying a hint of arrogance. Together, they create a massive stone rib cage capable of withstanding earthquakes, weather, unruly crowds, and 2 millennia of tourists pretending to understand its grandeur. The structure seems to offer a giant architectural shrug, defying gravity with a nonchalant attitude. Here lies the brilliance of the design. Arches distribute weight sideways rather than downward. Imagine them as stressed Roman senators, each pushing pressure onto the one beside them. This ingenious approach allows the Colosseum to endure, a testament to the ingenuity of its creators. Imagine a system where each arch supports its neighbor, sharing the weight evenly, ensuring that no single point bears the burden alone. This stands in stark contrast to the chaos of group projects. Within the Colosseum, the Romans ingeniously stacked arches, creating 3 levels of arcades adorned with distinct column styles: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. They embraced variety, showcasing their architectural prowess in a display that felt like flexing in 3 different languages. Yet, the beauty of this design goes beyond its appearance. These arches intertwine with vaults, forming a complex network of corridors, stairs, and support chambers. It's as if someone posed the question, how many tunnels can we fit into one building? And the answer was a resounding yes. This intricate system of arches and vaults allowed the structure to flex and adapt without succumbing to damage. Throughout numerous earthquakes, the Colosseum endured, absorbing the tremors and continuing to captivate audiences as if it were simply yawning before resuming its role in thrilling spectacles. And here's a fascinating tidbit. The Colosseum wasn't even the Romans' first venture into this architectural style. They had previously constructed smaller amphitheaters, but this was their ultimate achievement, their grand finale. Imagine an amphitheater that once stood proudly, a true champion among its peers, only to face the ravages of time and those who sought to dismantle its glory. Today, much of the structure lies in ruins, stripped away by stone thieves who treated it like a treasure trove. Yet, even in its diminished state, the remaining arches hold steadfast, ancient, and cracked, embodying a resilience that often eludes our own emotional balance. The Romans were remarkable in many ways, as engineers, conquerors, and philosophers. Above all, they mastered the art of crowd control. Think about it, managing 50,000 people, all hot, hungry, and perhaps a bit unruly, while wearing their optimistic sandals. If you can pull that off, you truly deserve an empire. The Colosseum was more than just a stadium. It was a marvel of human movement, a finely tuned machine designed to accommodate tens of thousands of Romans. Picture the peasants, nobles, merchants, and even the occasional pickpocket mingling, all while senators feigned a casual interest in the common folk. This grand structure could efficiently usher them in and out in mere minutes, ensuring that no one was trampled by an overly enthusiastic gladiator fan. And what about the secret of the vomitoria? Contrary to popular belief, these were not rooms for post-feast indulgence. The term actually refers to the passageways that allowed people to exit swiftly. In essence, the Romans created the very first people fountains, designed to manage the ebb and flow of the crowd. Isn't it fascinating how they transformed chaos into order? Imagine a grand arena with 80 entrances, each clearly numbered, much like a contemporary stadium. Back in 80 CE, someone understood that having 50,000 spectators wandering around, uncertain about their seats, could easily lead to chaos. To manage this, spectators received assigned tickets, a charming notion, especially considering that this system was devised for events where many participants faced dire fates. Yet, the brilliance of the Colosseum extends beyond its entrances. It lies in its intricate design, a well-planned network of corridors, ramps, staircases, and passageways guided attendees precisely to their designated spots. Wealthy patrons enjoyed express routes to the prime seats, while those with fewer resources were directed up narrow staircases to the higher tiers, where they could squint at the action below and feign enjoyment. The Romans excelled in vertical segregation. The affluent sat close enough to experience the gladiators' presence, while the less fortunate remained far enough away to catch the scent of pigeons. Remarkably, the design ensured that everyone behaved. The Colosseum functioned like a stone labyrinth, facilitating smooth movement regardless of individual intentions. What truly distinguishes the Colosseum, however, is its exit strategy. Thanks to its thoughtfully angled corridors and rapid dispersal design, an entire crowd of 50,000 could vacate the arena in just 5 to 10 minutes. Imagine stepping into a world where ancient ingenuity meets the pulse of modernity. The grand stadiums we know today, designed with advanced technology and strict codes, pale in comparison to the brilliance of Roman architecture. The Colosseum was not merely a structure, it served as a blueprint for every major venue, be it a stadium, theater, subway station, or airport terminal. It was a marvel that truly functioned. If the arena floor represents the face of the Colosseum, then the hypogeum, the intricate underground network beneath, embodies its brain, heart, and a touch of wild imagination. This concealed realm was where the most remarkable engineering feats took place. Above ground, the spectacle of gladiators, wild animals, and elaborate scenery captured the audience's attention. Beneath, a chaotic world thrived, filled with chains, exhaustion, and a constant risk of danger. The hypogeum was a sprawling maze of 2 stories, comprising tunnels, chambers, cages, ramps, corridors, and machinery, It was as if a Roman engineer had been tasked with creating a dungeon, a zoo, and a backstage theater all at once. The result was a secret hive of activity, stretching the entire length and width of the arena floor. Here, hundreds of enslaved workers toiled in darkness, guiding animals, preparing gladiators, and managing props, all while ensuring that nothing went awry, or at least that any mishaps occurred at just the right moment for dramatic effect. As you reflect on this hidden world, consider the sheer complexity and creativity that defined an era. Isn't it fascinating how the echoes of the past continue to influence our present? Picture this: lions pacing restlessly in wooden cages, their deep growls resonating in the dark. Bears rumble softly, while wolves, boars, leopards, and ostriches sit tightly packed in stalls, all pondering who decided they should serve as entertainment today. Gladiators navigate these corridors, limping at times, praying at others, or staring down a tiger, contemplating a career change. The atmosphere vibrates with the creaks of machinery, animal snarls, and the shouts of men, all reminiscent of an ancient Roman production team struggling to keep the show on track. The machinery itself is a marvel. Wooden elevators, powered by counterweights and the sheer effort of human labor, can hoist entire cages or elaborate scenery set straight up through the arena floor. Imagine being a gladiator, standing in complete darkness on a platform, hands trembling as a dozen workers above pull ropes that groan like weary beasts. Then, without warning, the platform jolts upward. The trapdoor bursts open, and you find yourself in the blinding sun, surrounded by 50,000 roaring Romans, all anticipating a fight with something that, like you, wishes it could be anywhere else. But it's not just animals and fighters in this arena. Occasionally, the crew transports entire miniature forests, trees, rocks, and even artificial hills to transform the arena into varied environments, enriching the spectacle for the eager crowd. As you take all of this in, consider the intricate dance of life and survival that unfolds in this captivating world. Imagine a flat sand floor in the morning, transforming into a vibrant woodland by noon. This was scenic design long before theater directors learned to shout at interns. Walking through the hypogeum must have felt like stepping into a fever dream. The heat, the noise, and the mingled scents of wood, sweat, straw, and fear created an atmosphere of organized chaos. It was mostly organized, often chaotic, and always dangerous. While the Colosseum stood as Rome's grand showcase, the hypogeum functioned as its hidden engine room, complex, unhinged, and full of life. If there's one aspect of the Colosseum that makes modern engineers pause, it's the elevators. Yes, actual elevators, not metaphorical ones. These platforms were designed to lift animals, scenery, and occasionally bewildered gladiators straight up into the arena. Picture this: it's the 1st century, and there's no electricity, no hydraulics, and no steel cables. Instead, there's wood, rope, counterweights, muscle, and the kind of ingenuity that arises when the emperor demands a surprise tiger entrance. Saying no isn't really an option. After all, he's the emperor. The system itself is almost comically complex. Dozens of vertical shafts are positioned beneath the wooden arena floor, each housing a platform connected to an intricate assembly of pulleys and winches. This is where the magic and mayhem of the hypogeum come to life, captivating and terrifying all at once. As you reflect on this marvel of engineering, consider the sheer creativity and resourcefulness that brought it into existence. Imagine a scene where groups of enslaved workers labor tirelessly, powering massive capstans that resemble oversized hamster wheels for humans. Each lift demands the strength and synchronization of 8 to 12 men. If even one person falters, the entire platform jolts to the side, turning what should be a dramatic reveal into a chaotic misstep. Picture this: a lion pacing nervously in a dim cage, its body tense with adrenaline. Below, the platform creaks as it begins to rise, reminiscent of a haunted barn door. The workers grunt and sweat, pulling on ropes thicker than your wrist. Then, with impeccable timing, the trapdoor above bursts open. Sunlight floods the lion's face, and a crowd of 50,000 Romans gasps in unison, a collective ooh echoing through the arena. It's like an ancient surprise party, but the surprise is a creature ready to strike. This was not just engineering, it was a carefully orchestrated chaos. The lift served not only for animals, but also for gladiators, who would make their grand entrances through these very platforms. Sometimes they appeared alone, other times in pairs, or even surrounded by props like trees and rocks. Each reveal was planned with the precision of a Broadway musical, yet carried the inherent danger of a juggling act with chainsaws. Every aspect relied on flawless coordination to ensure the spectacle unfolded safely and dramatically. Imagine standing at the edge of a grand arena where the stakes are high and the tension palpable. One miscalculated move, one misaligned rope could send a platform plummeting into the abyss below. History reveals that the Romans had little mercy for costly animals or prized fighters who fell from grace, treated like mere sacks of grain. Workers toiling beneath the surface lived in a constant state of anxiety, acutely aware that each performance teetered on the edge of disaster, just one snapped rope away from transforming a spectacular show into chaos. Yet, against all odds, this intricate system operated with remarkable precision. The elevators executed hundreds of flawless cues during games, showcasing the Romans' mastery not only in construction, but also in motion. The Colosseum was more than a venue for violence. It was a masterfully choreographed stage where every moment was elevated for dramatic effect. Just when you think the Romans couldn't possibly push the boundaries further, they unveil a concept that seems almost surreal. They deliberately flooded the arena, turning it into a vast expanse of water. This was not a mere accident caused by plumbing failures or inclement weather. No, this was a bold, intentional engineering feat by a civilization that looked at the world's largest amphitheater and thought, what would make this even better? Boats, these staged naval battles, known as machi, were Rome's way of showcasing their dominance over half the known world while indulging in the spectacle of tiny ships colliding for entertainment. Flooding the arena demanded a level of hydraulic engineering that remains awe-inspiring today. Aqueduct channels were meticulously directed into the Colosseum through underground pipes, allowing the entire floor to be filled with water deep enough to accommodate specially designed flat-bottomed vessels. As you reflect on this extraordinary feat, consider the ingenuity and creativity that brought such vivid spectacles to life. The Romans transformed their amphitheater into a playground of both land and sea, captivating audiences with their bold vision. Wouldn't you agree that such innovation deserves our admiration? Imagine a time when the Romans, known for their flair for the dramatic, transformed an ordinary arena into a stunning spectacle. They didn't just fill it with water slowly, they flooded it with the enthusiasm of a civilization that prided itself on innovation, even creating indoor plumbing for show. In an instant, the arena shifted from a sandy battleground to a glistening lake. Props floated gracefully, and miniature islands bobbed on the surface. The atmosphere changed, too, as the audience's roar transformed from a thirst for blood to a delightful confusion. Are we sailing today, you might ask? Yes, indeed, Marcus, we are. So take a seat and enjoy the show. The battles themselves were nothing short of theatrical. Prisoners of war or condemned criminals reenacted famous naval conflicts, perhaps the earliest and darkest form of historical cosplay. Small wooden ships collided while thousands of Romans cheered from the stands, reveling in a type of entertainment that would send modern insurance companies into a frenzy. Yet, this aquatic extravagance came with its own challenges. Constantly flooding the arena wreaked havoc on the wooden flooring and the substructure beneath it. It took a toll on the staff and likely dampened the spirits of anyone tasked with the cleanup. Eventually, the Romans recognized that creating a pop-up lake within a stone building was not only costly and impractical, but also led to mold issues that might have had their own opinions. As you reflect on this grand spectacle, consider the balance between creativity and practicality. Would you have embraced such an adventure, or would the potential chaos have held you back? Imagine a time when the Colosseum was more than just a stage for bloodshed. For a fleeting moment, it transformed into a marine park, a grand stone bathtub representing imperial pride, and a swimming pool funded by the Roman treasury. This wasn't merely a stadium, it was a remarkable venue capable of hosting a football match, a naval battle, and even moments of deep reflection, all before lunch. The Romans had a tendency to go overboard. They didn't just settle for animals and gladiators, they craved something more, something spectacular. They needed drama in their performances, scenery that seemed to rise from the ground like a stage crafted by the most energetic of creators. The Colosseum was not just a sports arena, it was an ancient special effects studio, long before Hollywood embraced the art of spectacle. Beneath the arena floor lay a network of tunnels and platforms, home to wooden frames, painted backdrops, portable forests, and artificial rocks, essentially the earliest form of set decoration. When the Romans sought to turn the battlefield into a desert, a lush woodland, or a miniature mountain range, all they had to do was attach their props to elevators, cue the crew, and just like that, the transformation was complete. Picture yourself as a gladiator emerging from the shadows below, only to be thrust into a vibrant arena. Surrounding you is a forest, crafted by hands weary from sleepless nights. The crowd gasps as if witnessing a miracle, yet what they're truly seeing is the toil and struggle of countless workers, driven by stale bread and fear. These scenic lifts were part of the same system that transported animals and fighters. In one moment, the arena appears as a barren, sandy expanse. Then, in the blink of an eye, a lush forest emerges, adorned with shrubs, artificial trees, and occasionally a real tree pilfered from a nearby estate. The Romans were not concerned with precision, they craved spectacle. As long as it resembled nature, that was sufficient. Some lifts even showcased life-sized props, like quaint huts or miniature temples set for grand mythological performances. Condemned criminals often found themselves playing legendary figures such as Orpheus or Hercules. These reenactments always concluded in tragedy for the actor. You might call it ancient method acting. The engineering brilliance behind these rapid transformations is nothing short of remarkable. Everything needs to align just right. The trapdoors, the platforms, the timing, the actors, and even the wild animals that sometimes escape their cages. An entire production teeters on the brink of chaos. Yet the Romans managed to pull it off time and again, crafting an illusion of magic long before stagecraft even had a name. For the audience, It's a breathtaking spectacle. For those working behind the scenes, it's likely utter mayhem, but for Rome, it's yet another victory, a testament to their ability to fill a grand arena with everything except common sense. If you've ever experienced a Roman summer, you know the sun doesn't simply shine. It assaults you, it melts you, transforming you into a human raisin in mere moments. Now, picture yourself in that sweltering heat, surrounded by 50,000 other sweaty Romans, all crammed together like olives in a jar, eagerly awaiting the gladiator show to begin. The Romans understood that their crowds would revolt if left to simmer in the heat. So, they created something that sounds almost mythical, the Valerium. This massive retractable sunshade covered about 2/3 of the Colosseum. This wasn't just a simple tarp. It was an intricate system of sails, ropes, pulleys, and masts, so vast and complex that only one group in the empire had the expertise to operate it. Imagine the grandeur of the Imperial Navy, where sailors, trained for the rigors of maritime warfare, find themselves in an unexpected role. Instead of battling pirates, they are tasked with adjusting a massive umbrella for the comfort of spectators. Yes, these skilled men are now hoisting what might be considered the world's oldest beach tent. The Valerium, as it was called, operated by attaching vast panels of sailcloth to a framework of wooden poles that were anchored around the top of the Colosseum. Sailors worked tirelessly, maneuvering ropes that stretched across the entire amphitheater, creating a web-like canopy. When fully deployed, the Valerium filtered sunlight, lowered temperatures, and even directed breezes down into the stands. In essence, ancient Rome was pioneering stadium climate control, utilizing the very same individuals who usually commanded warships. Isn't that fascinating? However, managing the Valerium was no small feat. The system was a logistical challenge. When the wind picked up, the entire structure could turn into a perilous parachute. A sudden gust had the potential to snap ropes, bend timbers, or even send sailors tumbling from their platforms. Operating the Valerium required hundreds of men, impeccable timing, constant communication, and a readiness to face the risks that came with such a daunting task. As you reflect on this remarkable piece of history, consider how ingenuity and teamwork transformed the experience of thousands, all while navigating the unpredictable forces of nature. Would you have been brave enough to take on such a challenge? The Romans made it seem effortless. Spectators found comfort in the shade, enjoyed gentle breezes, and faced less glare while watching dramatic scenes unfold. The Valerium not only provided shelter, it enhanced acoustics, softening the crowd's roar and creating a unique atmosphere. It was more than just a practical solution. It was a declaration of Roman ingenuity. With simple materials like fabric and rope, they showcased an impressive commitment to public comfort. While today's stadiums boast expensive retractable roofs, the Romans relied on sailors, pulleys, and sheer creativity. Remarkably, those sailors often outperformed modern technology. One of the most underrated achievements of the Colosseum wasn't its elevators or trapdoors. It was something more subtle, yet profoundly impactful. Sound. The Colosseum was designed not merely for entertainment, but to ensure that 50,000 spectators could hear every scream, roar, shout, and desperate plea to the gods with crystal clarity. The Romans grasped a concept that still challenges contemporary stadium designers. Crowds crave sound. They want to hear the clash of armor, the growl of lions, the crunch of sand beneath a gladiator's feet, and the unsettling noise of something large and fierce being unleashed from its cage. The Colosseum delivered all of this with the precision of a natural amplifier, creating an unforgettable experience. Imagine a remarkable oval structure designed to capture sound, drawing it inward and upward. Every cheer, gasp, and chant of "Hit 'em again" fills the arena like a rich acoustic stew. This elliptical shape prevents echoes from scattering, directing sounds straight to the audience. Even those perched in the highest seats can hear the sharp breath of a gladiator poised to make a fateful choice. But the shape alone doesn't create this auditory experience. The Romans ingeniously crafted the stands and passages with vaults and arches that channel sound waves with precision. Stone corridors function as resonating chambers, amplifying the crowd's reactions into a thunderous roar. Picture 50,000 voices raised in unison, their power magnified by the very architecture around them. It's both terrifying and effective. The velarium, a massive canopy, also plays a crucial role. When extended, it acts as a sound diffuser, softening harsh echoes and reflecting noise back into the arena. Modern acoustic engineers often study this ancient system, reflecting on its brilliance and perhaps their own choices. Thanks to the velarium, every spectator experiences a surprisingly balanced sound, ensuring that no matter where they sit, they can fully engage with the spectacle before them. Imagine a place where every sound resonates perfectly, where even the faintest echo carries a weight of drama. The emperor's ears, delicate and discerning, are shielded from chaotic disturbances. After all, nothing can spoil a grand execution like poor acoustics. The very arena floor plays a crucial role in this soundscape. Beneath those wooden planks lies the hypergyme, a network of chambers that creates a subtle reverberation, amplifying every stomp, roar, and clash with a theatrical flair that Rome would never openly acknowledge, yet was undeniably intentional. The Colosseum isn't merely a stage for violence. It stands as an early marvel of audio engineering. It ensures that every spectator can hear the exact moment a gladiator questions their fateful choice. Picture this: 50,000 Romans packed into a vast stone bowl on a sweltering summer afternoon, many of whom bathe only when the god Jupiter demands it. This creates an undeniable challenge, a ventilation issue, if you will. The air begins to taste like a stew of humanity. While many ancient civilizations might resign themselves to such discomfort, Rome took a different approach. They declared, "No, we will find a way to combat this odor," and remarkably, they did. The Colosseum boasted an impressively advanced ventilation system, one that modern architects admire in hushed tones. Every aspect of this grand structure was meticulously designed to breathe, ensuring a more pleasant experience for all who entered. Imagine the air being drawn in through the arches at ground level, flowing upward through corridors and staircases, and finally escaping at the top like a grand stone chimney. Hot air naturally rises, while cool air drifts in from below. This is convection in its most impressive form, driven solely by the laws of physics and the collective hope that the person beside you can withstand the heat. The design of the seating tiers contributes significantly to this airflow. Each level of arches functions as a vast wind funnel, capturing breezes and circulating them throughout the interior. While it may not equate to modern air conditioning, it certainly prevents the space from becoming an unbearable sauna. The Romans may not have known the term Venturi effect, but they cleverly incorporated it into many of their structures, showcasing their innovative spirit and access to volcanic ash. Then there's the velarium, the enormous sunshade that not only protected spectators from the elements, but also directed air down into the stands. When unfurled, it acted like a giant sail, catching the wind. Just like sailors adjusting their ropes, the angle of this canopy needed careful consideration. Too flat, and it obstructed airflow. Too angled, and it risked becoming a kite large enough to lift the entire Colosseum into the Tiber River. The stakes were indeed high. As you reflect on these architectural marvels, consider how they enhanced the experience of spectators in ancient times. Would you have enjoyed such a spectacle under the Roman sun? The hypodium plays a crucial role in air circulation. Its intricate network of tunnels, chambers, and passageways beneath the arena creates natural drafts that push air upward through trapdoors. During events, the arena floor acts as a ventilation grate, allowing cooler air from below to mix with the warmer air above. While this rising air may carry the scents of animals, sweat, wood, and perhaps a hint of despair, it still provides essential airflow. This clever design means that the stadium rarely suffocates its spectators, even on days when the weather, the crowd, and the excitement of the games seem to conspire against them. It may not be perfect or luxurious, but it functions effectively. Rome didn't just manage airflow, they mastered it. One of history's great ironies is that the Colosseum has withstood nearly 2,000 years of earthquakes, invasions, lightning strikes, vandalism, and the passage of time. In contrast, a modern apartment building might develop cracks from a simple sneeze overhead. The difference lies not in magic, but in the Romans' approach to construction. They built the Colosseum as if they expected the earth itself to challenge them, which, to be fair, it often did. Situated in a seismically active area, the Romans viewed earthquakes not as obstacles, but as a reality they had to account for. You might find it fascinating to learn how the Romans approached engineering challenges. They didn't just build structures to withstand tremors, they designed them to coexist with the forces of nature. The key to their success lay in flexibility, not the emotional kind, but rather structural flexibility. The Romans, known for their rigid ways, excelled in this area. Take the Colosseum, for example. Its framework of arches, vaults, and radial walls forms a complex network that absorbs shock waves, acting like a giant stone shock absorber. When earthquakes struck, and they often did, the forces spread through this network instead of concentrating in one vulnerable spot. Modern engineers refer to this as a distributed stress response. For the Romans, it was just another Tuesday. The foundation of the Colosseum is equally remarkable. Below the arena lies a massive concrete ring, 12 meters thick, reinforced with stones. This foundation grips the earth with the tenacity of a grandmother, refusing to leave her favorite chair. Rather than being rigid, it possesses just enough give to shift slightly without cracking. Imagine it as an ancient form of memory foam, crafted from volcanic ash and sheer engineering confidence. To keep the massive exterior blocks together, the Romans employed iron clamps, functioning like skeletal tendons that maintained the structure's unity. Instead of relying on mortar, which can crack under pressure, they used metal to bind their stone. This innovative approach showcases their remarkable ingenuity and understanding of structural integrity. As you reflect on these ancient techniques, consider how they've influenced modern engineering. Wouldn't it be interesting to explore more about the ways ancient wisdom continues to shape our world today? Medieval builders repurposed many of the clamps from the Colosseum for their weapons and tools, which has contributed to its current fragmented appearance. It didn't collapse due to the strength of earthquakes. Instead, medieval Italians saw free iron and made choices that altered its fate. Despite missing sections and centuries of wear, the Colosseum still stands. Half of it may be gone, yet the remaining structure holds firm. It resembles a boxer who has lost an eye, several teeth, and most of his ribs, yet continues to fight. Rome didn't merely create a building, it crafted a survivor, a stone titan that learned to sway, bend, absorb, and endure the very tremors beneath it. Beyond its remarkable engineering, its arches, elevators, ventilation, and the naval battles no one requested, the Colosseum served another, more profound purpose: psychological warfare. This was not just a venue for entertainment, it was an empire-sized tool of intimidation. The message conveyed to every spectator was clear: Rome is powerful, not just beautiful or prosperous, but strong, equipped with wealth, manpower, and enough lions to fill a moderately sized airport. Imagine stepping into a world where every detail serves a purpose, a world that speaks of power and grandeur. As you approach the Colosseum, its immense size looms before you like a stone giant, silently assessing your worth. This architectural marvel, with its towering elliptical structure, was designed to showcase Rome's dominance in every possible way. The exterior is adorned with colossal statues of gods, heroes, and emperors, each chosen to remind you of Rome's ability to create greatness and dismantle it just as easily. Once you enter, the experience becomes even more profound. The seating arrangement reflects the rigid social hierarchy of Roman society. Senators and elites occupy the closest seats, almost feeling the sweat of gladiators as they battle for glory. Meanwhile, commoners sit far above, gazing down at the spectacle like ants observing a fierce struggle below. At the very top, the marginalized slaves, foreigners, and those deemed disposable look down, perhaps questioning their reasons for being there at all. The shows themselves are a testament to Rome's unparalleled control. Exotic animals, brought from far-off lands, parade through the arena, showcasing the empire's vast reach. Naval battles reenact Rome's victories, each performance meticulously curated to reinforce the might of the empire. As you reflect on this experience, consider what it means to witness such power and spectacle. What thoughts and feelings arise within you as you connect with this moment in history? Imagine the dramatic scenes that unfold in the Colosseum, where the fates of criminals and rebels are played out before an eager crowd. Gladiator duels showcase not just strength and skill, but also the discipline that Rome prides itself on, despite evidence suggesting otherwise. The sheer scale of these events reveals a chilling efficiency. A government that can import tigers from distant lands to unleash them on a single warrior is one that commands respect and fear. The message from the Colosseum is clear. Just look at the extravagant entertainment we provide. Now, consider what we could unleash if provoked. The Emperor's presence adds another layer of intimidation. On game days, he occupies the Imperial Box, a throne that towers over the arena, visible to tens of thousands. Every cheer, gasp, and scream rises to him, amplifying the weight of Rome's authority. Yes, the Colosseum stands as an architectural wonder, but it also serves as a tremor in stone, a stark reminder that Rome's power extends beyond roads and armies. It thrives on psychology, spectacle, and a carefully calibrated fear. By all rights, the Colosseum should have succumbed to the ravages of time. It should have crumbled into dust, like so many other ancient structures. Yet, here it stands, a testament to its own resilience. The Colosseum stands as a testament to resilience, embodying a spirit that refuses to fade away. It is a relic of a civilization that, even in the face of collapse, chose to pursue immortality rather than accept defeat. Over the years, earthquakes have shaken Rome, leaving cracks in its walls and tearing apart its arches. Chunks of stone have fallen to the streets below, yet the Colosseum endures. Medieval builders scavenged its marble and iron clamps, repurposing them to create churches, fortifications, and even homes for those wishing to impress their neighbors. Entire sections of the facade have vanished, along with seating, flooring, and decorative elements. Still, the remaining structure stands tall, much like a wounded giant that refuses to surrender. For centuries, the Colosseum has served countless functions beyond its original purpose. It transformed into a fortress for rival families, a quarry for building materials, a Christian shrine, a bustling marketplace, a shelter, and even a dumping ground. Today, it has evolved into a popular tourist attraction where visitors snap selfies in sandals that cost more than what many Romans earned in a month. Despite the scars and hollowness, the Colosseum remains indestructible. What you see today is merely a fragment of the magnificent structure it once was. As you reflect on its storied past, consider the stories it might still tell. Imagine standing before a colossal structure, a fragment of history that seems larger and more enduring than many modern stadiums. Picture the Colosseum, a monument that could endure anything, flattened, buried, or even set ablaze. It would simply shrug off such attempts, re-solidifying into a new kind of landmark. Its refusal to fade away is a testament to the brilliance of Roman engineering. The concrete, the arches, the very foundation itself. Yet there's something deeper at play, something almost emotional. The Colosseum has transcended its role as a mere building. It has become an icon. It symbolizes human ambition, cruelty, innovation, and resilience. Each stone carries the weight of a civilization that dared to dream beyond the ordinary, constructing edifices that mirrored those grand aspirations. As you stand there today, you can sense the history pressing in from every direction. You witness the essence of what Rome was, what it evolved into, and the legacy it has left behind. The city surrounding it has transformed countless times, yet the Colosseum remains steadfast, observing the passage of centuries like a bored emperor patiently awaiting the next performance. Rome may not have intended for the Colosseum to endure through the ages, but the Colosseum itself chose to defy that expectation. It simply decided to last, regardless of time. In the early Middle Ages, the equation of survival was straightforward. Metal on body equated to a slightly better chance of staying alive. Imagine a time when survival took precedence over style. In the harsh realities of the past, no one cared if your armor sparkled or matched your horse's saddle. Yet, as Europe transitioned into the 13th and 14th centuries, something extraordinary unfolded. Knights, who were essentially powerful warriors, adorned with social status, began to pay attention to their appearance within their protective gear. Armor evolved from mere equipment to a reflection of identity and pride, a medieval expression of personal style. This transformation didn't occur all at once. It started subtly, with delicate engravings on helmets and decorative rivet patterns on breastplates. Over time, these small embellishments grew bolder. Intricate vines began to weave across steel, while lions, griffins, swords, and religious symbols were meticulously hammered, chiseled, and inlaid into the metal. Knights could stride onto the battlefield, recognized not by their hidden faces, but by the unique artistry of their armor. And let's be honest, medieval nobles relished this recognition. Why fight in anonymity when you could emerge victorious looking like the ultimate champion from a fantasy realm? By the late Middle Ages, armor-making workshops transformed into a blend of smithy and fashion house. Master armorers in cities like Milan, Augsburg, and Nuremberg became celebrities in their own right, celebrated for their craft and creativity. As you reflect on this fascinating evolution, consider how the desire for identity and recognition has always been a part of the human experience. Perhaps you too find meaning in the way you present yourself to the world. Imagine a time when wealth meant more than just riches, it meant artistry. If you had the means, you didn't simply purchase armor, you commissioned a true masterpiece. Families cherished their suits of armor like precious heirloom jewelry, displaying not only their lineage and wealth, but also their unique personal stories. A knight's armor could convey loyalty through intricate heraldic symbols, instill fear with fearsome engravings, or simply reflect vanity with polished steel so shiny you could use it to check your hair. But with this personalization came fierce competition. Knights scrutinized each other's armor, much like modern celebrities assess each other's red carpet looks. A plain, undecorated suit might keep you safe, but socially, it whispered, "I am merely a background character." Thus, the noble class elevated the stakes. They adorned their armor with gold inlays, combined black and steel, added intricate metalwork, and even hammered tiny saints into their van braces. This became the medieval equivalent of a fashion arms race. As full-plate armor reached its zenith, knights transformed into more than just warriors. They became living galleries of metal craftsmanship, each step echoing with pride, ego, and an appreciation for exquisite taste. In this evolving landscape, armor no longer served just a functional purpose. It became a symbol of high fashion. And as the armor grew ever more elaborate, a new kind of celebrity emerged: the master armorer. These weren't just ordinary blacksmiths covered in soot and muscle, they were artists in their own right. In the 14th and 15th centuries, artisans emerged as a blend of engineers, metalsmiths, and fashion designers. They crafted pieces that were not just functional, but also works of art, complete with unique signatures and styles. Noble clients were loyal, always seeking to wear the finest creations available. Take Tocan, for instance. This Italian city became the medieval equivalent of Paris for armor design. The Missaglia and Negroy families produced suits so exquisite that some knights would almost prefer to lose a battle, just to let their adversaries admire their stunning breastplates up close. The Italian style was characterized by smooth, elegant curves, a high polish, and subtle engravings. It embodied a kind of minimalist luxury, showy yet tastefully understated. You could almost hear the whispers, "Yes, my armor costs more than your castle." Then there was Germany, renowned for Gothic armor. This style featured sharp lines, fluting, and intimidating ridges. German armor seemed to be crafted by someone who adored architecture, but had little regard for the people inside those structures. It was bold, dramatic, and exuded a strikingly aggressive style. But it wasn't all about aesthetics. The fluting not only added visual flair, but also enhanced structural strength, allowing for lighter plates without compromising durability. In this case, form truly improved function. After all, similarly, a German Gothic gauntlet, with its dramatic finger ridges, could effectively crush a helmet in battle. The finest armor strikes a delicate balance between aesthetics and survival, showcasing that medieval society could embrace fashion without ignoring the very real threat of violence. These master armorers held such prestige that entire courts revolved around their workshops. Patronage flowed like water, rivalries sparked creativity, and innovation flourished. Knights strode into battle, feeling like models on a perilous runway, fully aware that their armor was not merely forged, it was crafted with artistry and intent. If armor represented the medieval equivalent of designer fashion, then heraldry served as its emblem. Imagine a time when bold, unmistakable symbols adorned every shield, helm, and coat of arms. In an era before literacy, Snapchat filters, or standardized uniforms, heraldry emerged to solve a practical problem: How do you recognize someone whose face is obscured by steel armor, racing forward on a war horse? The answer is quite simple. You transform the knight into a living billboard for their family. Heraldry wasn't just random decoration. Every symbol, color, and pattern held significant meaning. Lions represented courage, eagles signified imperial authority, and the fleur-de-lis stood for purity. Some families even chose peculiar symbols, like three dead fish, perhaps because medieval nobles weren't always the best at graphic design. Regardless of the symbol, each was uniquely tied to a lineage. When a knight charged into battle, he carried with him centuries of ancestry, wearing his family history like a coat. The crest on a helmet was particularly important. Some knights opted for subtlety, featuring a small carved animal or a simple plume of dyed feathers. Others embraced chaos, donning helms adorned with full-sized wooden dragons, snarling boar heads, giant wings, or even miniature castles. Can you picture galloping into battle with a 3-foot wooden swan perched atop your head? It's a vivid reminder of how identity and heritage were once displayed in the most striking of ways. What does heraldry mean to you? It serves as a bridge between practicality and iconic status. In the tumult of battle, heraldry allowed warriors to identify their allies. Yet, it also played a significant role in the evening's fashion scene. A well-crafted coat of arms not only enhanced a warrior's presence, but also signified wealth. After all, vibrant dyes, intricate embroidery, and the luxury of custom capes were accessible only to the affluent. Heraldry communicated loyalty too. The colors of a knight's liege often adorned their gear, a testament to allegiance. It also revealed personality. Those who were bold chose striking reds or shimmering golds, while the more introspective opted for darker hues like blacks and blues, often accompanied by fearsome animals that seemed ready to pounce. But heraldry wasn't limited to armor. Horses donned matching adornments, transforming both knight and steed into a unified fashion statement. Shields became canvases, so elaborately designed that losing one in battle felt akin to misplacing a luxury handbag. Even lances displayed heraldic pennants that fluttered in the wind, broadcasting a message of status, confidence, and at times a hint of delusional self-worth. By the late Middle Ages, heraldry had intertwined with the essence of knighthood. While armor protected the body, heraldry projected the soul, or at least the version of it that families wished to present to the world. Imagine a time when medieval warriors became living symbols, instantly recognizable in a world where status was everything. As armor evolved into a fashion statement, knights sought ways to elevate it from merely functional to breathtakingly beautiful. They wanted their armor to be so striking that it could make an enemy hesitate before striking. Enter the vibrant world of etching, gilding, bluing, and inlay. These decorative techniques transformed plain steel into exquisite works of art. Mastering these methods required not only skill and chemistry, but also steady hands and a willingness to invest a significant fortune, perhaps the equivalent of a small village's annual income, to achieve such splendor. Etching emerged as the premier technique. Armorers used acid to carve intricate patterns into steel, creating detailed images that could make even Renaissance painters envious. Scrollwork, floral motifs, geometric bands, saints, and mythical beasts all became common requests. Nobles, known for their lack of moderation, often demanded a combination of all these designs at once. A single breastplate might showcase spiraling vines, fierce lions, and angels dramatically pointing swords at demons that bore a striking resemblance to their political adversaries. Yet, etching alone was not enough. Knights craved shine and contrast, something that would catch the sunlight during a joust, dazzling onlookers like a flash from a medieval paparazzi. Would you like to explore more about this captivating blend of artistry and warfare? Gold and silver inlay emerges as a stunning detail in armor design. This intricate process involves hammering precious metals into carved grooves, making it both tedious and costly. Yet it serves an important purpose to showcase status. Nobles adored this embellishment, as nothing declared, "I am important," quite like armor that sparkled with every movement. Picture a knight turning to face the crowd, illuminating half the tournament ground with his glittering attire. Another favored technique was bluing, where steel is heated to reveal a rich cobalt hue. This not only created a breathtaking appearance, but also helped guard against rust. It was a rare blend of beauty and practicality. The combination of black and gold armor became particularly iconic. Imagine a warrior stepping forward in midnight blue armor, trimmed in radiant gold, intimidating and historically resonant. The Biandian court even adopted this striking look as part of their dress code. As time progressed, embossing took armor design to new heights. Instead of merely carving into the metal, armorers began raising figures in relief from the inside. Suddenly, armor showcased three-dimensional dragons, muscular saints, and intricate patterns sculpted from steel. It transformed into the medieval equivalent of haute couture, albeit one that weighed around 60 pounds and could deflect arrows. By the 15th century, this decorated armor had evolved beyond mere equipment. It became a symbol of prestige and artistry. Imagine a world where armor is not just protection, but a statement of status and artistry. Knights don't merely don steel, they wear their identity, showcasing the medieval equivalent of a grand display. While battlefield armor must be practical and resilient, tournament armor embraces a different philosophy altogether. It's about looking extraordinary, captivating the audience, and perhaps surviving the experience. Tournaments are the medieval blend of high-stakes sporting events, vibrant fashion shows, political gatherings, and displays of ego. Arriving in simple steel is akin to showing up without shoes. It simply won't do. Tournament armor is thicker, heavier, and often adorned with elaborate decorations, far more extravagant than what one would wear into battle. Here, aesthetics reign supreme. You're not fighting for your life. You're vying for prestige, attention, and the admiration of nobles watching from the stands. Picture knights seeking armor that dazzles from 50 yards away. Think of a runway model, but instead of a traditional catwalk, the setting involves horses, lances, and the potential for a concussion. The joust stands as the highlight of these fashion spectacles. Knights commission distinctive helms featuring exaggerated visors, grand crests, and vibrant colors. Some helmets are barrel-shaped, crafted not only to deflect lances, but also to transform the knight into a living, breathing monument. Isn't it fascinating how the pursuit of glory and admiration shapes the very armor they wear? Imagine a world where vibrant colors dance against the backdrop of a clear sky, where fabric billows gracefully in the wind. This is the realm of tournament armor, both practical and essential. Picture the towering crests atop helmets, grand sculptures that command attention during parades and competitions. These are not mere embellishments. They are colossal wings, fierce beasts, gilded crowns, and even intricate miniature landscapes. Consider a German tournament helm adorned with a lion, so magnificent that it likely created drag. But in the arena, size was everything. Subtlety? that was seen as a flaw in one's character. Each knight's armor was a reflection of their identity, often designed with themes drawn from their heraldry, family tales, or personal mottos. One might arrive in armor etched with saints, blessing his lance for victory. Another could opt for a dragon motif, aiming to evoke fear and mystique. Some even chose hearts and vines, hoping to catch the eye of that special noble lady watching from the stands. Yet these suits were not crafted for the battlefield. They were specifically tailored for tournaments, be it foot combat, jousting, or melee fighting. Each discipline demanded unique designs, fueling an ongoing arms race of creativity and customization. Imagine a time when the wealthiest nobles possessed entire collections of tournament gear, switching their outfits as modern athletes might change jerseys. In these grand tournaments, armor served a purpose beyond mere protection. It became a form of theater. Not all armor was crafted for battle, and some was designed for a more delicate medieval purpose. During ceremonies, coronations, royal entries, weddings, and diplomatic receptions, knights and nobles needed to present themselves in full regalia. This elaborate attire often included armor so ornate and extravagant that it seemed utterly impractical for any battlefield. Ceremonial armor was meant to convey a message before the wearer even spoke. I am wealthy. I am noble. I am powerful. It whispered tales of opulence, suggesting that the cost of this suit might surpass what an average town earned in a decade. Typically lighter than battlefield armor, ceremonial suits were adorned with lavish decorations. Gold leaf, silver applique, raised embossing, velvet padding, and enamel accents were common features. Some suits were so richly embellished that they blurred the lines between military equipment and a portable bank vault. As you reflect on this grand display of wealth and status, consider what these choices reveal about the values and priorities of that era. In the workshops of Milan and Germany, artisans create striking pieces of armor adorned with three-dimensional cherubs, shoulder guards shaped like mythical beasts, and helmets that bear faces gazing down with the indifferent air of a bored demigod. These suits of armor serve not only as protection, but also convey powerful political messages. When a noble parades through a city in ceremonial armor, it signifies stability, dominance, and a rich heritage. The armor speaks volumes, declaring, "My family has been here for generations. My ancestors fought valiantly in these lands. And this 10-pound gold eagle on my shoulder, that's our family emblem, so please be impressed." Foreign dignitaries are welcomed by guards clad in matching ceremonial armor, polished and coordinated to instill a sense of intimidation. Entering this court is not just a simple affair, it's stepping into a realm where the elite literally shine. Kings were particularly fond of such displays. Historical figures like Charles V, Maximilian I, and Henry VIII commissioned suits that served as wearable propaganda, designed to etch a lasting impression in the minds of both subjects and rivals alike. Unlike tournament armor, which prioritizes protection, ceremonial suits emphasize mobility. After all, the greatest threat a knight might face at a royal wedding is not from an enemy, but rather the risk of stumbling on a stone stair or enduring tedious conversations with those he would rather avoid. As you reflect on this blend of artistry and power, consider how these elements of history continue to resonate today. Imagine a world where armor is more than just protection, it's a statement of identity and culture. These suits, crafted with remarkable precision, may lack battlefield toughness, yet they embody a rich heritage. Artisans dedicate months to perfecting intricate patterns, details that most spectators might only catch a fleeting glimpse of from afar. Ceremonial armor does not save lives. Instead, it shapes reputations and tells stories. Consider how dramatically armor varies across regions. It serves not just as protection, but as a vivid expression of cultural identity forged in steel. A knight from Italy stands in stark contrast to one from Germany, while a French noble can be recognized by his silhouette alone. In the same way modern nations debate the finest luxury brands, medieval Europe engaged in a similar discourse, only this time it was about armor capable of deflecting a spear. Take Italy, for instance, the Milan of armor. Italian designs are sleek, elegant, and exquisitely contoured. The workshops in Milan excelled in creating smooth, rounded surfaces that lend these suits a polished, almost fluid look. Even the functional elements of Italian armor radiate refinement. There's an undeniable flair that seems to whisper, "Yes, I can kill you, but I'll look fabulous while doing it." Their breastplates gleam like mirrors, and their helmets flow into graceful curves. As you explore this fascinating blend of artistry and warfare, consider how these elements reflect not just the time, but the very essence of those who wore them. Would you like to delve deeper into this captivating world? Imagine armor that exudes aristocratic confidence. In stark contrast, Germany takes a different path. Their Gothic armor is angular and dramatic, almost resembling architectural marvels. With tall ridges, deep fluting, and pointed sabatons, each piece looks as if it belongs in a cathedral, crafted by someone in a profoundly intense mood. German armorers prioritize structure and intimidation, shaping steel as if it were carved from dark stone. A German knight doesn't just walk, he looms, commanding presence. The fluting in this armor not only adds to its menacing appearance, but also enhances its strength. So these formidable designs are backed by real engineering prowess. It's characteristic of the Germans to create something both terrifying and structurally efficient. Meanwhile, France finds itself in a delicate balance between elegance and showmanship. Parisian workshops produce armor adorned with tasteful ornamentation and clean lines. This craftsmanship shines without veering into the extremes of Italian sleekness or the dramatic flair of German Gothic designs. French armor embodies effortless style, refined yet never loud, fashionable but never desperate. Knights at the French court favor armor that suggests nobility without shouting it from the rooftops. England, too, carves out its own identity in armor design, drawing heavily from both German and Italian influences. Each style reflects a unique character, embodying the spirit of its nation while showcasing the artistry of its time. English knights embrace a blend of practicality and selective luxury. They adopt decorative trends, but steer clear of overly dramatic flourishes. However, wealthy nobles like the Black Prince revel in ornate blackened armor adorned with gold accents, resembling the medieval equivalent of a perfectly tailored black suit with striking cufflinks. Regions like Spain and Eastern Europe develop their own unique styles. Spanish armor often showcases bold etching and gilding, while Polish designs introduce wings, perhaps because standard armor needed a touch more drama. In every region, armor transcends mere protection. It becomes a canvas for geographic expression. By the late Middle Ages, knights don't just wear armor, they curate it. Personalization flourishes to the point where no two suits are alike. This armor is not mass-produced. It is tailored, sculpted, and decorated to reflect the owner's preferences, personality, and sometimes even an unrestrained artistic vision. Imagine if a knight had access to Instagram. You can picture him sharing close-ups of his gauntlets with playful captions like, New pauldrons dropped. Feeling cute, might joust later. Personalization begins with simple choices, like selecting a preferred helmet shape, choosing a specific type of pauldron, or adding extra ridges for flair. As you reflect on this journey through time, consider how the artistry of armor mirrors our own expressions of identity today. Would you choose to stand out or blend in? The situation escalates quickly. Knights begin to request custom-fitted armor designed to enhance their physiques. They seek vambraces adorned with personal mottos and greaves that echo their family tapestries. Each suit of armor becomes as uniquely identifiable as a fingerprint, though fingerprints don't carry the same hefty price tag as a cathedral roof. For many, the desire to personalize armor stems from aesthetic appeal. They wish for their gear to shimmer and stand out, announcing their presence like a resounding trumpet. Techniques like bluing, gilding, and silver inlays create striking contrasts. Picture a fully blackened suit accented with gold filigree, resembling something a medieval superhero might wear. Or consider a polished silver suit etched with delicate flowers, signaling refinement. A breastplate adorned with crimson often declares, "I'm both dangerous and fashionable." But personalization isn't solely about looks, it tells a story. Armor transforms into a biography cast in steel. A knight who has journeyed far might embellish his suit with motifs from various regions: Italian scrollwork, German fluting, or French patterns. A crusader could request engravings depicting scenes from Jerusalem or crosses along the rim of his helmet. Veterans often add symbols of their victories, such as broken lances, captured standards, or the beasts they claim to have slain, though it's worth noting that medieval knights had a flair for exaggeration. Some of these creatures likely existed only in their vivid imaginations. As you reflect on this rich tapestry of history, consider how these stories intertwine with the very essence of identity. Imagine a world where humor finds its way into battle gear. Helmets shaped like snarling faces or adorned with quirky expressions create a unique look that gives the wearer a permanent battle face. Some nobles took it a step further, embedding tiny jokes or hidden symbols that only the keen observer could spot, much like a medieval inside joke woven into a luxurious garment. Personalization in armor wasn't just for show, it was about optimization too. Knights adjusted their gear for better mobility, added reinforcing plates tailored to their fighting styles, and even designed custom gauntlets that fit their grip perfectly. This blend of fashion and engineering turned armor into a canvas for individual expression, where ego and craftsmanship collided. By the 15th century, armor transformed into more than mere protection. It became a statement, a narrative, and sometimes a display of power. As the Middle Ages drew to a close, armor transcended its original purpose. What began as simple protective gear evolved into a rich artistic tradition, intertwining metallurgy, aesthetics, engineering, heraldry, and an undeniable sense of self. Even when gunpowder rendered plate armor less effective on the battlefield, the concept of armor as a fashion statement endured. It seamlessly transitioned into culture, ceremony, and symbolism, eventually inspiring realms of entertainment and imagination. The Renaissance courts upheld the artistic prestige of armor, ensuring its legacy lived on. Monarchs such as Maximilian I and Charles V commissioned intricately designed suits of armor long after they ceased to be used in actual combat. These armors evolved into powerful symbols, tools of propaganda, gallery exhibits, and diplomatic gestures. They transformed from mere equipment into a form of visual rhetoric. When a king donned gilded armor, he wasn't preparing for battle. He was showcasing his authority, asserting his legitimacy, and reminding everyone present who controlled the wealth behind all that gold leaf. Collectors and nobility in later centuries treated armor as fine art, displaying it in grand halls, museums, and private collections. Some families preserved ceremonial suits that had never seen the battlefield, cherishing them as heritage artifacts. These pieces represent lineage just as much as portraits or statues do, serving as timeless monuments to medieval craftsmanship and the human desire to impress while evading danger. The legacy of armor's fashion also persists in surprising ways. Modern military uniforms, parade dress, and even police ceremonial attire draw heavily from the aesthetics of medieval plate, epaulettes, crests, intricate braiding, and polished metal. All of these elements echo the visual language established centuries ago. When you see a ceremonial guard today, standing tall in their shining regalia, they're not just dressed for the occasion. They're echoing a tradition that dates back to medieval knights who sought to impress as they rode past eager spectators. This sense of style has seeped into popular culture, where fantasy films, video games, and novels celebrate armor as a key visual element. From the heroic gleam of breastplates to the menacing spikes of villains and the intricate designs of elven attire, the medieval practice of crafting beautiful armor has laid the groundwork for modern storytelling. Artists continue to draw from the rich heritage of Gothic fluting, Milan curves, and Maximilian ridging. It's a testament to how the creativity of medieval armors still influences our aesthetic choices, even long after swords cease to be the primary means of conflict resolution. The legacy of medieval armor speaks to something profoundly human. In a world often marked by violence, people yearned for beauty, identity, and flair. They transformed cold steel into art, not out of necessity, but out of a desire to express themselves. Armor served to protect their bodies, while fashion immortalized their narratives. Consider a noble Egyptian feast. It wasn't merely a gathering. It was a carefully orchestrated ritual, planned days in advance to dazzle guests, honor ancestors, and remind everyone present of the host's wealth and divine favor. Before a single fig is sliced or a jug of lotus wine is uncorked, the estate transforms into a vibrant organism. It becomes a blend of palace, kitchen, and temple, where the servants are the first to awaken. At dawn, they sweep the courtyards, polish the limestone floors, and hang garlands of lotus blossoms. The sweet fragrance wafts through the halls, carrying with it a deeper significance. Lotus symbolizes rebirth and divine purity, hinting that this meal will hold more meaning than mere sustenance. In the storerooms, other servants carefully inspect amphorae filled with beer, wine, date syrup, and spiced oils. They tap the jars, listen for hollow tones, and check seals, ensuring that nothing has spoiled. Hospitality is sacred. Serving stale pomegranate wine to esteemed guests is simply unacceptable. In the outer kitchens, teams of cooks begin their day, working through mountains of fresh ingredients sourced from local farms, bustling markets, and the estate's own gardens. They sort figs for softness, split dates to stuff with nuts, and rinse baskets of grapes in the cool water from the household well. Honey jars are warmed, allowing the rich golden sweetness to flow effortlessly, whether drizzled over pastries or mixed into savory sauces. The air fills with the enticing aromas of roasting goose, crackling fat, and freshly baked barley bread. As you imagine this scene, consider the care and dedication that transforms simple ingredients into a feast worthy of celebration. Wouldn't you agree that such moments deserve our attention? Kitchens radiate warmth, filled to the brim with energy and sound. Yet, amidst the clamor, Everything flows with a disciplined rhythm. These cooks are not merely preparing meals, they are crafting an exquisite display of status. But the culinary creations are just one aspect of the evening's grandeur. Musicians arrive, ready to rehearse enchanting harp melodies and flute harmonies that will envelop the night in elegance. Meanwhile, scribes meticulously review guest lists, ensuring that everyone is seated according to their rank. After all, placing someone even slightly below their expected position could spark feuds lasting generations. Servants prepare cosmetic palettes and scented oils, poised to anoint guests the moment they step through the villa's grand entrance. In the midst of this bustling activity, the noble host oversees the preparations like a miniature pharaoh. They carefully select heirlooms to showcase, choose which ancestral statues to honor at the feast, and decide on the rare delicacies, honey cakes, exotic fish, and imported wine that will convey the most powerful message. This house is blessed, wealthy, and favored by the gods. A feast, you see, is not merely about the food, it is a performance in itself. Before a single bite reaches the lips of Egypt's elite, the setting must speak volumes. A noble feast is as much about creating an enchanting environment as it is about the dishes served. The Egyptians hold a deep belief that beauty, order, and harmony reflect divine favor. Imagine a cosmic balance that orchestrates everything, from the rise of the Nile to the rhythm of a human heartbeat. In this realm, a host doesn't merely set a dining table, they create an atmosphere fit for gods, royalty, and ancestors. Most feasts unfold in expansive courtyards or lush garden pavilions, where the evening breeze gently cools the remnants of the day's heat. Servants attend to pools adorned with water lilies and lotus flowers, their petals unfurling as the sun dips behind the palm trees. These pools serve more than just aesthetic purposes. The flickering torchlight reflecting on the water is thought to mimic the shimmering fields of the afterlife. When nobles recline nearby, they are metaphorically perched on the edge of eternity, a poetic reminder that life's pleasures are fleeting, sacred, and meant to be savored. Surrounding the courtyard, columns painted in vibrant colors depict scenes of deities bestowing protection. Above, blue ceilings mimic the night sky, speckled with tiny golden stars. The arrangement of furniture is meticulously planned. Low tables for the feast, intricately carved wooden chairs for esteemed guests, and cushioned mats for others to relax upon. Every detail is designed to impress from the moment a guest enters. Egyptian nobles cherished symmetry, and their dining spaces reflect this profound appreciation for balance and harmony. As you envision this setting, consider the layers of meaning woven into every element. Each feast is not just a gathering, it is a celebration of life, a moment to pause and reflect. Wouldn't you agree that such artistry transforms a meal into a cherished experience? Imagine a scene where every detail matters. A misplaced cushion or an unevenly spaced jar doesn't just seem careless, it disrupts a delicate balance. The lighting is essential here. Servants position oil lamps in carefully chosen spots, while taller bronze stands hold flickering torches, casting a warm glow that softens the stone walls. This light creates an almost dreamlike atmosphere, where shadows play across murals depicting feasts, as if the ancestors are joining the living in celebration. The scents in the air are no accident either. Incense burners release fragrant swirls of frankincense and myrrh, believed to purify the space and draw the attention of the divine. Alongside these aromas, the sweet scent of lotus petals, roasted meats, and honey-glazed pastries fills the room, weaving a sensory tapestry that feels inviting, indulgent, and just a touch otherworldly. As the feast approaches, the host makes one last careful inspection. They walk through the space, checking the arrangement of fruit bowls, adjusting torches, and straightening garlands. Every detail is crucial, not just for show, but because the Egyptians held a deep belief that the gods might grace the celebration with their presence. In their eyes, perfection is not merely a goal, it's a necessity when the divine is watching. Imagine a grand feast among Egyptian nobles, a celebration that begins long before the first tray of roasted goose is served. It starts with the arrival of the guests, a slow and elegant procession of elites who treat this simple act like a ritual of beauty, hierarchy, and subtle competition. You can sense the anticipation in the air, as part of the evening's allure lies in witnessing who appears the most radiant, who dons the finest linen, and who has indulged in luxurious cosmetic oils that evoke paradise in a jar. Hours before sunset, noble men and women prepare meticulously. They bathe in perfumed water infused with delicate lotus petals and exfoliate their skin with natron salts, achieving a softness reminiscent of polished alabaster. In this world, cosmetics are not merely optional, they are essential. Eyes are lined with thick kohl, shielding against the sun while imparting an air of hypnotic mystery. Women adorn their lips with red ochre, while men scent their chests with rich blends of myrrh and cinnamon oils. Even their hairstyles convey messages of status and style. Tight braids, golden beads, and elaborate wigs can weigh as much as a newborn calf, each detail carefully chosen. As they finally approach the villa, the procession is intentionally slow, moving through decorated gateways draped with palm fronds and lotus garlands, setting the stage for a night of opulence and splendor. As you step into this world, servants greet you with shallow bowls filled with fragrant water, inviting you to wash your hands and feet. This act transcends mere hygiene. It symbolizes a transition from the dust of the mortal realm to a sacred space of abundance. The significance of clothing cannot be overstated. The wealthiest nobles adorn themselves in linen, so sheer and finely woven that it appears to float like smoke. Some garments feature intricate pleats, crafted through hours of meticulous folding and starching. Jewelry sparkles on wrists, ankles, and throats. Gold bangles, delicate beads, and lapis lazuli amulets shaped like scarabs or ankhs. These adornments are far more than mere fashion statements. They serve as protective charms, symbols of status, and lively conversation starters. A single gold collar can reveal more about a family's fortune than any words could express. Upon entering, each guest participates in a ritual greeting. You bow before household shrines, murmur blessings to the ancestors, and offer brief prayers for prosperity. The hosts welcome each guest personally, creating a moment ripe for subtle flattery and allowing rivals to discreetly assess one another's attire. The social hierarchy dictates where each person reclines later, and seasoned nobles can intuitively gauge the seating arrangements simply by the host's tone. As you reflect on these intricate social dynamics, consider how appearances and rituals intertwine within this rich tapestry of life. The courtyard radiates with a warm glow, the air filled with delightful fragrances, and guests sparkle like living jewels. The scene is set for a grand feast, where the mere appearance of the gathering conveys half the story. If the guests are the jewels of the evening, then the food is the crown, lavish, plentiful, and intentionally extravagant. In ancient Egypt, a noble feast is not just a meal, it is a theatrical display of wealth, agricultural prowess, and divine favor. As the servants present the first trays, the lively chatter fades, jaws loosen, and even the most reserved aristocrats can't help but be captivated by the sheer spectacle of abundance. The star of the table is the roasted goose, a symbol of prosperity. Its perfectly crisp skin glistens, juices cascade, and it is seasoned with coriander, garlic, and a sweet honey glaze, showcasing the host's affluence and refined taste. The aroma wafts through the courtyard like a heavenly proclamation. In some estates, whole ducks, quail, and pigeons accompany the goose, arranged in artistic patterns so stunning that they seem almost too beautiful to eat. Yet, no one hesitates for long. The fruits are equally impressive, with bowls overflowing with figs that are so ripe they yield under the gentlest pressure. Take a moment to imagine yourself there, surrounded by this splendid feast. What sensations would you experience? The vibrant colors, the tantalizing scents, the joyful laughter echoing around you. Each detail paints a vivid picture of a celebration that transcends mere sustenance, inviting you to savor the richness of life. Imagine clusters of grapes, still cool from the shade, alongside baskets filled with dates stuffed with crushed nuts and vibrant pomegranates. The ruby red seeds, symbols of life and rebirth, glisten in the warm lamplight. Children believe that the gods hide blessings within each seed, while adults nod knowingly, perhaps pretending it's merely tradition. Sweetness signifies wealth, and honey, a precious and labor-intensive delight, coats pastries and flavored sauces, drizzling generously over fruit. Nobles favor honey-flavored cakes, shaped like animals or delicate lotus flowers, their surfaces golden and glossy. This sweet dish represents more than mere pleasure. It is a testament to the household's ability to afford the finest ingredients the Nile Valley has to offer. Vegetables and breads fill the table as well. Loaves of barley bread are crafted into animal shapes or braided twists, their crusts dusted with sesame or flax seeds. Lentils, chickpeas, cucumbers, leeks, and radishes are served in bowls carved from alabaster or polished wood. Even simple dips like hummus-like bean pastes are elevated with herbs and oils, reminding guests that nothing presented here is ordinary. And let's not forget the drinks. Wine infused with lotus petals, spiced date wine, and the finest beers brewed from Emma wheat flow freely, inviting everyone to partake in this rich tapestry of flavors and traditions. Imagine a grand banquet where servants diligently keep cups filled, honoring both the living and the departed. Even before the first toast, the atmosphere tells a story of prosperity and blessing. Here, every guest is destined to feast like the gods themselves. In this noble Egyptian setting, food serves as an anchor, while drinks elevate the experience to something truly transcendent. For Egyptians, wine and beer are more than mere refreshments. They are vessels of ritual, celebration, and spiritual significance. As a servant lifts a jug and pours the first cup, the evening transforms into an offering, not just for the guests, but also for the gods, ancestors, and the unseen spirits believed to mingle among the living. The highlight of the banquet is the lotus wine. This drink symbolizes divine rebirth. The lotus flower, which closes at night and opens with the morning sun, represents the cycle of life, death, and resurrection. Infused with lotus petals, the wine carries a delicate floral aroma and a hint of blue, evoking the sacred river that nourishes Egypt. Nobles savor it slowly, allowing its sweetness to roll across their tongues, each sip whispering of cosmic renewal. Take a moment to reflect on this rich tapestry of tradition and meaning, where every element contributes to a deeper connection with the divine. Would you like to explore more about these fascinating customs? Imagine a world where flavors and traditions intertwine. Egyptians delved into the art of crafting flavored wines. Picture pomegranate wine, its tartness vibrant, glowing with a deep ruby hue under the flickering torchlight. Then there's date wine, rich with caramel notes, thick and almost syrupy. This favored drink of the older aristocrats was believed to soothe the spirit, but amidst these exquisite wines, beer remained the heart of Egyptian drinking culture. Made from emma wheat or barley, noble beer was a far cry from the everyday brew enjoyed by workers. It was smoother, richer, and carefully filtered, often enhanced with honey or spices. Beer symbolized nourishment and abundance, a drink born from the fertile grains nurtured by the Nile's annual floods. At feasts, servants filled beer cups with the same reverence as wine goblets, ensuring no guest ever faced the embarrassment of an empty vessel. Ritual etiquette guided the drinking experience. Guests raised their cups to honor their ancestors, pouring a few drops on the ground for the spirits. They toasted the gods, especially Hathor, the goddess of joy and music, and Osiris, the lord of rebirth. In these moments, each sip became a celebration of life itself. Imagine a belief that feels as simple as it is profound. When the living celebrate joyfully, the dead join in the revelry, their spirits lifted by the swell of music and the depth of conversation. As drinks flow, the barriers fade, allowing laughter to rise and stories to weave together. In those moments, glasses sparkle in the warm lamplight, and flower petals drift gently upon the wine. The feast transforms into something more than just a meal. It becomes a sensory experience. In ancient Egypt, music and dance were not merely forms of entertainment. They were sacred practices designed to honor the gods, pay tribute to ancestors, and unite the living in joy and harmony. For nobles, a feast devoid of music would have felt as empty as a banquet table without bread. Musicians would enter the courtyard with quiet assurance, their harps towering like children beside them. Delicate flutes crafted from reeds and small hand drums produced rhythms capable of stirring even the most stoic officials. These musicians were not mere background figures. They were revered artisans, often trained from a young age to master the intricate emotional language of Egyptian music. A single note from a harp could convey celebration or yearning. A subtle shift in rhythm from the sistrum, the sacred rattle linked to the goddess Hathor, could transform the atmosphere from casual chatter to a spiritual celebration. Isn't it fascinating how music can bridge the gap between realms, connecting us to something greater? As you reflect on this, consider the role of music in your own life. How does it move you? Imagine a warm evening where the presence of Hathor, the goddess of beauty, dance, music, and joy, envelops you like a gentle breeze. She is the divine patron of celebration, and her essence fills the air during feasts. Dancers, skilled and graceful, invoke her spirit through their movements, adorned with shimmering gold beads, slender anklets, and fragrant oils. They catch the light as they sway. Their choreography is a beautiful blend of sensuality and elegance. You can see the slow, fluid motions of their arms, reminiscent of rippling water, while their precise footwork keeps time with the rhythmic beat of drums. The soft undulations of their bodies mirror the graceful flow of the Nile itself. As you watch, you feel yourself becoming part of the performance. Perhaps you sway gently to the rhythm, snap your fingers in harmony, or offer blessings as a dancer glides past. Nobles invite these dancers to perform near ancestor shrines, believing that the departed would revel in the music just as much as the living. Even small gestures, like clapping along or whispering praise to Hathor, become acts of devotion, connecting you to something greater. As the night unfolds, musicians shift melodies, guiding the emotional flow. Bright, lively rhythms accompany the serving of new dishes, while softer tones invite conversations that drift into storytelling and flirtation. In this atmosphere of celebration, every moment feels alive with joy and connection. Would you like to continue exploring this enchanting world? The evening begins with the powerful sound of drums, heralding the arrival of esteemed guests, or the presentation of an exquisite dish. As the night unfolds, music and dance intertwine with the feast, creating a vibrant tapestry of sound and motion. The courtyard thrums with laughter and joy, embodying the Egyptian belief that happiness is a sacred offering. Behind this splendid banquet is a dedicated team of skilled servants, whose roles are just as vital as the host's prestige or the musician's talent. A noble feast is a meticulously orchestrated event, and each servant, from cooks to cupbearers, dancers to attendants, plays their part with utmost precision. Their movements must remain discreet, ensuring guests are undisturbed while maintaining the evening's smooth flow. As guests recline on plush mats or elegantly crafted chairs, the servants spring into action like cogs in a divine machine. Cupbearers glide through the gathering with jugs of lotus wine and spiced beer, always approaching from the left and bowing respectfully before replenishing a cup. Their role transcends mere service. It's about making sure every guest feels valued and attended to. An empty cup can be seen as a sign of disrespect, and the cupbearers take this responsibility to heart. Take a moment to reflect on the beauty and significance of such rituals. How might these traditions shape our understanding of hospitality today? You understand the unspoken rules of hospitality, just like a priest understands sacred texts. Imagine food servers moving in disciplined lines, each carrying trays laden with honeyed pastries, roasted meats, figs, cucumbers, and delicately crafted stews. Each tray is presented with a gentle tilt, allowing the warm lamplight to dance off the food, making it all the more enticing. As the servers pass around the dishes, they pause to share stories about the ingredients and their origins. Dates from the foam, honey sourced from temple hives, and fish freshly caught from the delta come to life through their words. This isn't just small talk, it's culinary storytelling that showcases the host's reach and resources. Certain rituals transform this feast from a mere social gathering into a sacred moment. Before the major dishes are served, incense bearers take a slow, deliberate walk around the courtyard, releasing spirals of frankincense and myrrh. The scent is thought to attract benevolent spirits and purify the atmosphere. Guests subtly lift their heads as the fragrant smoke passes, acknowledging the unseen world that joins them in this celebration. Equally significant are the hand-washing attendants. Between courses, they kneel before each guest with alabaster bowls filled with scented water. Drops of lotus oil float gently on the surface, releasing a soothing fragrance as guests dip their fingertips, inviting a moment of reflection and connection. As the attendants gently dry their hands with soft linen cloths, they step back with a bow. This simple act embodies renewal, gratitude, and a deep commitment to Marwat, the cosmic harmony that guides Egyptian life. Even in moments of entertainment, precise teamwork is essential. Musicians signal their readiness before changing rhythms, allowing dancers to enter at just the right moment. Storytellers patiently wait for servers to finish passing dishes before launching into their dramatic recitations. As the evening unfolds, the choreography of the servants becomes so seamless that the feast appears effortless. Yet, every moment of ease is the result of months of training and centuries of tradition. In their skill, the household showcases its true sophistication. Once the food begins to flow, the music rises, and the wine helps ease any tension, the real purpose of an Egyptian noble feast comes to light: conversation. These gatherings extend beyond mere indulgence for the senses. They serve as arenas for diplomacy, networking, subtle competition, and social maneuvering. While a feast may seem like a relaxed celebration, beneath the laughter, every word carries significance. Nobles recline on cushioned mats or carved wooden chairs, leaning in as they exchange greetings.